know next time you're in the mood for like non-stop 90s music. There's more 90s whenever you want it on Radio 2 90s. Open BBC Sounds, tap music and then press play on Radio 2 90s. See you Monday. This is Radio 2 on the BBC Sounds app, on your smart speaker and on 88 to 91 FM.
BBC News at 4 o'clock. This is Catherine Cracknell. The parents of a 10-month-old baby boy have been found guilty of his murder. Finlay Bowden, who was placed in care when he was born, was found dead on Christmas Day in 2020, less than 6 weeks after he was returned to Stephen Bowden and Shannon Marsden. Our reporter Navtej Johal was at Derby Crown Court for the verdict.
The details of the suffering Finlay Bowden endured are disturbing. By the time he died on Christmas Day 2020 at his home in Chesterfield, the 10-month-old had 130 injuries. He was removed from his parents when he was born over child protection concerns, but was later returned to their care by a court order. Marsden and Bowden were regular heavy users of cannabis. The jury heard that they were more interested in getting money to buy the drug than looking after their son. There was little reaction from the pair as they were convicted. They will be sentenced at a later date.
A junior member of the US National Guard has appeared in court in Boston to face espionage charges over a huge leak of secret government documents. Jack Teixeira, who's 21, was arrested by FBI agents yesterday. The material revealed sensitive intelligence on topics including the war in Ukraine. Ronald Chapman's a US lawyer who's worked on military cases. He says there are questions about why Mr. Teixeira was allowed to access the sensitive files.
He may have had clearance by being granted it because he was an IT specialist. Typically, IT specialists in the military would receive access to a lot of different types of classified information because they need to be able to observe that in order to do their job. So it's possible that he was read in to classified information, which is what we typically call it when somebody's given access.
The Royal College of Nursing will announce shortly whether its members in England have agreed to the government's latest pay deal. Ministers hope the offer will put an end to the threat of further strike action by nurses. But our correspondent Simon Jones says there are signs it could be rejected.
Now, at the moment, we haven't had confirmation of that from the union representing the nurses, the Royal College of Nursing. They say they are still calculating the vote. It finished at 9 o'clock this morning, UK time. But there is increasing concern amongst health bosses in hospitals that it may well be rejected.
A man's been found guilty of threatening behaviour for throwing around half a dozen eggs at the King in York in November. Patrick Thelwell, who's 23, was given a 12-month community order and told to pay costs of £600. After a one-day delay because of bad weather, the European Space Agency successfully launched its mission to see if the moons of Jupiter can support life. The spacecraft will take 8 years to reach its destination. And President Biden is rounding off his 4-day visit to the island of Ireland with a trip to the west where some of his ancestors hail from. He'll give an address later at the cathedral in the town of Ballina, a building made from thousands of bricks sold by his great-great-great-grandfather. And now let's get the sport with Nick Hatton.
Jurgen Klopp says big money transfers in football are like a child asking to get a Ferrari at Christmas. It's as he faced questions about Liverpool pulling out of the race to sign Jude Bellingham from Borussia Dortmund. The England midfielder has been linked with several clubs, but he's expected to cost at least £100 million. Manchester United boss Erik ten Hag says he can't confirm reports Lisandro Martinez has broken his metatarsal. The defender had to come off in last night's 2-2 Europa League quarter-final first leg draw with Sevilla at Old Trafford. With 6 weeks to go until the French Open, Rafa Nadal has pulled out of next week's Barcelona Open. He says he's still not ready to return from injury. Meanwhile, Great Britain are taking on France in their Billie Jean King Cup qualifier. You can watch Katie Bolter take on Caroline Garcia on the BBC Sport website right now. And Great Britain have won 4 silver medals as the opening diving World Cup of this season got underway in China. That includes Andrea Spendolini-Sirieix and Lois Tolson finishing second in the women's 10-metre synchronised final. That's your latest BBC News and Sport at 4 minutes past 4.
Nick, Catherine, thank you very much. Oh yeah, baby. BBC Radio 2. Sorry. Take it away, Daniel.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yes?
The Weeknd.
Are you ready? I think you are.
you scream? Well, for the weekend and more importantly, perhaps, for All Requests Friday. Let's hand over to Sue.
Hi, Sarah. It's Sue from Prestwich in glorious Manchester. Please can you play Kool and the Gang's Get Down on It? It's for our Harry. He's 18 today. This is our go-to song for Mum's taxi. He makes us laugh, he makes us cry, and he makes us so proud. We love you, Harry. For Mum, Dad, and Grace.